Hello, this is what came through for February 12th, 2026. Today is going to be maybe a longer story because I was asked by my guides to actually talk about my own experiences with cloning. I think it's because there's more publicly coming out about it. I know that within the files that there is some evidence of it actually being talked about. And so they asked me to kind of come on and tell my own experiences and stories that I have. I know I've only been on social media for like a little over a month. And I know I'm going to kind of tell my story at another time, but I've been, channeling remote viewing and other things for years now. And my experience with an intense experience I had viewing cloning was actually back when Kate Middleton, all of that was going on, when she was going, when it came out that she was going through, she was stepping back because of a sickness and all of these different things. And like I've said before, I had never watched any other, spiritual people, remote viewers. I knew about people like Bashar. I hadn't really watched too much of his stuff. I knew of him. I had never watched Elizabeth April, but others I knew had. My husband was really into watching her all the time on his own time. I never wanted to have any influence in that way of whatever she was talking about. But what was really interesting was around all of that time, I would just had such a suspicious feeling about what was going on, specifically with Kate at that time. And things just didn't seem right. And then other people publicly started to kind of talk about it. Um, and so I had kind of decided to sit with that and try to go and do some remote viewing of where she might be. And so at the time, I remember going into basically this like cave tunnel situation, and I had seen that she had passed physically, um, and that it was almost like she was trapped, if I remember correctly. Also, in a sense, and that I remember going into this chamber, and there were these like cryo chamber things, like exactly what you would think that they would look like. I think they've even had them like in, I think like an Austin Power movie or something. I feel like I remember that from when I was younger. But exactly what you would think. And there were people inside. There were celebrities inside that I saw. I have never talked about this like publicly, but other ones that I had seen Michael Jackson. I saw Kobe. I saw them very clearly and vividly. Now, with the cloning situation with Kate, what was happening is they had made her go away. And during all of this time that she was away, though, from the public, they were ramping up and training this clone and getting it up to speed. But there were things that obviously got pointed out, right? Backgrounds that were manipulated, photoshopping, all these things, and people called it out. And then um, I know that I believe she has come back, like her soul has kind of come back into that body to try to like take back over. But it's just still not the same, right? So there's different types of cloning as well that can take place. I think another good example, obviously, that I've been sent a lot recently is all the stuff with Biden. There's definitely a lot of really clear stuff with that as well. That's another type, right? Like where they get rid of the person, they bring it back, but then there's issues, there's glitches, there's things that happen to where it can be very clear. But then what other stories come out, they deflect, people forget about it, whatever. But I think now, because there's more coming out in the files and examples of this, we're going to start seeing more and more of it. We're going to notice it more. And so I think they wanted me to talk about this because it's obviously not a new thing, right? The files prove that. My story that I just kind of explained a little bit is that, and I will also just say with the Kate thing, the reason I brought up Elizabeth April is because I never had watched her, and I went and saw all of this. I talked about it, and I told my husband, and he then pulls up a video of her and shows me, and she saw the exact same thing that I saw. So that was also really validating back then, before I had really started to even think about talking about things to others, because I was still unsure. I was doubting. I was almost in disbelief a lot of the time, right? And I think as time has gone on, it's almost been like a duh thing. Of course cloning is the thing. Of course it is. It makes complete perfect sense. With so many different situations, it kind of makes you go on this crazy thing in your mind too, of how many there are, who is, and the reasons why, right? And I think that we're going to start seeing that more and more. I think more and more is going to come out with those things in the files. I think lots of things are going to get exposed, and it's going to be a lot of overwhelming information. But what it's going to do for the collective is heighten that energy, right? The leveling up, the 3D to 5D, the awakening. This is almost like a positive thing for the collective, because it's just another step towards taking back that power, and that we are in control of the narrative here, right? We're not believing anything anymore, and we're fully just taking control and responsibility of our own thoughts, what we know to be true, and not being told anymore what's true and what's not. So just wanted to tell that story, talk about that a little bit, reopen the conversation about it, continue that conversation. I think it's really important. It's a rabbit hole to go down if you ever want to go down it. I haven't personally gone down it and researched it a ton, but I don't feel like I need to. I understand it. It's overwhelming, but it makes sense. So I encourage you to talk about it, understand it, and speak about it. Okay? I'm going to do another video soon too about, because I had some stuff come through, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about disclosure stuff, and then you guys have been tagging me in El Paso things, and them closing it and weirdly reopening it. Excuse me. And then things kind of happening. I do think it's definitely tied to some disclosure stuff, testing things, but I'm going to try to tap into that and get more information on it. But anyway, I know this was a long one, but I really felt and was compelled to tell the story. So don't stop talking about it. More's going to come out, and let's just keep releasing things, keep talking about things. Let's not keep things in the dark.